What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to cover a pretty common question I get, and that is, should you start a LLC or should you start a sole proprietorship or a corporation, or what you should do? So this one I'm going to talk about whether you should go with LLC or sole proprietorship, because it's a pretty clear answer once I lay out the difference between the two and which one would be right for you. There are rare circumstances where you go with one, but let's go over the main things of each. So a sole proprietorship is pretty much not even a business. You're considered an individual who operates as yourself. So technically, you're not really a business. You can be a business and have that name, but there's no separation from, okay, Tanner's here and then Tanner's business is over here. They're not one and the same. Whereas a sole proprietorship, it's one in the same. You're the same thing, you operate as yourself. With an LLC, you have that separation where, okay, there's a business over here and then the individuals over here. So an LLC is just a form of incorporation if you want to be a business, just to be recognized either for tax purposes, to have your name claimed, and to protect yourself. So there's a few main things we need to look at and kind of what our goals are with why are we starting a sole proprietorship or an LLC? Do we know why we want one? Do we just want one to have one? So the reason you want to form a sole proprietorship or LLC is to have the name, to be a legit business for most people, if there's any tax benefits, and to protect yourself and your assets. So the first thing, there's going to be 4 different categories here, is formation. What is the difference between sole proprietorship and LLC? Sole proprietorship, very easy. You don't have to do much. You get the name, boom, you're a sole proprietor. LLC, there's a little bit more paperwork. There's services where you can pay them to do it, and it costs a couple $100. It depends on your state, like LegalZoom. I'll leave a link to that if you guys are interested in that. Yes, it is an affiliate link. So with sole proprietorship, it's free to do. An LLC, you can do it all yourself. You don't need to pay these other companies, but there's a lot of paperwork and it's a lot of back and forth and takes longer. But for me, my very first LLC, I did it all alone, and I paid about $130, and I'm in California, so it will be different, to be incorporated. Now, like I said before, sole proprietorship is free, and if you pay one of these companies, you're probably going to pay $250, $300 like LegalZoom. So formation, sole proprietorship is easier and free. LLC is not. Now, let's talk about the annual fees. Sole proprietorship, none. It costs no money to start or maintain, really. LLC, you have to pay your yearly taxes. Sometimes you need to pay a registered agent if your LLC isn't technically where you live. But you guys shouldn't have to worry about that if you're registering in the state you live in. If not, LegalZoom has something where it's $40 a year, which I do. So there are a little bit more fees to maintain, and you do have that LLC tax at the end of the year. Even if you make no money, for example, California is $800 minimum as LLC tax, even if you are at a loss for your company. And then it goes up to, I believe, $2,500 max, no matter how much you make. Now, these next 2 are the most important, guys, so I hope you're still here with me. But protection, sole proprietorship, there's zero protection. If you get sued as a sole proprietorship, there's no protection between you and your business. You are your business. You, as your business, have assets. Let's say you have a house, a car, and $50,000 in your bank account. Well, if your business messes up and someone sues you, they can come through to you, take your assets, such as your house, your car, and the money in your bank, and anything you own. So you have zero protection there. An LLC is different. Now, this is where it's not advice. None of this is advice. This is just my opinion and what I do. So LLC, you have that protection as long as you're doing everything right, keeping records that are separate between the business and you. You have to remember, even if you're a single member LLC, where it's just you and the business, common sense wise, you'd be like, well, yeah, it's the same thing. I'm operating as a business, but it's just me. So technically it's the same thing. Well, you need them separated because in the government's eyes, they're different entities. You and your business are completely separate, even if you're an employee. So if you commingle bank accounts, that could lead to issues if you do get sued, and popular term is piercing the corporate veil, meaning they come through, your LLC has no money in it, but then they come through to you to get your assets. Now, if you do everything correct, you should be fine with an LLC where, let's say personally I have the same thing, $50,000 in my bank account, a house and a car. In my business bank account, I have $5,000. Well, if my business gets sued, and I say, okay, well, can't afford to lose $300,000 my business. I don't have that much. I give them the $5,000. I bankrupt my LLC and close it, and that's it. They can't come through to me personally and take my personal assets. So that is one of the biggest reasons to start an LLC. Gonna be honest with you, sole proprietorships are pretty much useless. There's no advantages to a sole proprietorship over the LLC other than the initial starting cost. So there's no reason you shouldn't be starting an LLC over a sole proprietorship, especially if you have any assets or anything at all that you need protected. That is the biggest factor and the reason you should be starting this. Now, last is tax. So how is a sole proprietorship taxed compared to an LLC? A sole proprietorship is taxed as personal income tax. So for me, let's say I made $3 million last year, just under that. If I was a sole proprietor, I'd pay whatever the normal income tax would be for an individual. So let's just say it's 50% because it's around there. Okay, I just lost 50% of that. When you're an LLC, as long as you're not a single member, because single member are pass-through entities, you can choose how you want to be taxed. You can be taxed as a sole proprietor, you can be taxed as a S Corp or a C Corp, and I'm not going to go into details there now, but you can be taxed way less because of that. You keep money in the business and so on. But that's going to be another topic, and you guys can research that. So you're paying the highest amount of tax with a sole proprietorship. You can have tax advantages of having an LLC, so it can benefit you that way. So let's recap real quick. Sole proprietorship, no protection, no tax advantages, doesn't cost any money to start or maintain, but you have zero protection, zero tax benefits. LLC, you might have to pay $100, $200 to start it, $800 a year minimum for your LLC tax. Protection, so those are the two negatives. Protection is the best protection as long as you can get everything set up correctly. You have to keep separate records between yourself personally and your business. Very easy to do. And tax-wise, you can choose how you want to be taxed. So it should be pretty clear that pretty much everyone should start an LLC over a sole proprietorship. I honestly think they're useless. The only time that you might want to start a sole proprietorship over an LLC is if you literally have no money, no assets to begin at all. If you're not living in a house, let's say you're renting, you don't own any cars, let's say you're renting a house, you're leasing a car, and you have a couple hundred in your bank account maybe or less, and you don't think you're going to make money, then start a sole proprietorship. But the $200 to start and then the $800 per year should not be a deterrent for you to not start an LLC and start a sole proprietorship. We're not going in creating a business thinking we're going to fail and we're going to be like, oh, $800 a year, I don't want to pay that. Well, if you have more than $800 in your bank account, you definitely want to start an LLC over a sole proprietorship. So I just want to inform people on this because I see a lot of people starting sole proprietorships and not doing the research and thinking they're fine and not knowing the whole protection aspect of LLCs and sole proprietorships, because you can have no protection with an LLC if you mess it up. If you're operating under a different name, if you're commingling bank accounts and different things like that, then you can pierce the corporate veil and people can sue you. So I hope that was informative for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'm not a professional by any means. I've just gone through this a couple times and done a lot of research, talked to some people. So I'll provide as much insight as I can. And if you guys want any other topics on this, feel free to leave them in the comments. Let me know if you want something about taxes or business or insurance or how I do accounting type stuff. Feel free. I really enjoy these type of videos, the more general ones. So hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys tomorrow in the next video.